Since their inception, the James Bond movies have always been synonymous with unique modes of transport that are both fantastic and innovative, many of which have enjoyed a life beyond their brief appearance on screen, as exhibits in museums and private collections. Iconic Bond vehicles such as the gadget-laden Aston Martin DB5 from Goldfinger, Little Nelly, the fearsome autogyro from You Only Live Twice, the amphibious Lotus Esprit from The Spy Who Loved Me, and the Q-Boat from The World Is Not Enough. These are just a few that reside now in glory as treasured exhibits. In the 1965 movie Thunderball, the deadly harpoon-firing atomic bomb-carrying submarine was an equally iconic Bond vehicle. However, its eventual fate proved to be far less distinguished. The concept of a bomb-sled sub originated in Ian Fleming's novel of Thunderball way back in 1961. It was present from the first drafts of the movie script in 1964. And early in pre-production, Sir Ken Adam, the legendary Bond designer, produced many concept drawings for the sub.
I just designed them, and I thought nobody could ever realize these designs and that they weren't practical. And we found this expert on mini submarines in Miami, Jordan Klein, and he said, no, we can build that.
Klein said he could construct a practical working submarine on Adam's designs, but it would cost $36,000 to be precise, equivalent to over $270,000 in today's money. However, money was never an obstacle when it came to producing a Bond movie, so the sub was commissioned, and eventually, after toiling day and night, Klein delivered the impressive craft to the production base at Nassau in the Bahamas on schedule. It was 18 foot long, weighed 3,880 pounds, had negative buoyancy, and was powered by a central 4 horsepower and 2 outer 2.5 horsepower electric motors, each reversible so the sub could turn on its own length. Operating down to depths of 100 feet, the battery-powered motors ran at 750 RPM and had a top speed of 4.5 knots submerged. It also had 6 guns mounted in front that fired 4-foot-long spears on compressed air. It was truly a craft worthy of a James Bond movie. As these original storyboard images show, the sub performed its part to the letter. However, the 3 months it took to film the underwater sequences were not easy, as Jordan Klein relates.
We'd go out and put all the equipment in the water in the morning. In one instance, we started at 8 o'clock in the morning, and we changed tanks underwater, and myself and another person didn't come up until after 6, changing tanks underwater and shooting, changing cameras, changing film. And at that point, I was running the bomb carrier, so I just stayed there. So it was arduous, and when you got up to the surface in the evening, you were pretty bad off. A couple of times I got violently sick, and they thought I wasn't going to be worked the next day, and at 4 o'clock in the morning, they pound on your door and say, come on, let's go. So you go.
All of Jordan's efforts were worth it in the end, however, making an invaluable contribution to the unique look of the movie. It was truly a Bondian spectacle as the bomb sled formed the centerpiece of the climactic 20-minute underwater battle between the forces of Spectre and the US Marines led by Sean Connery as James Bond. Once it had completed its long shooting schedule, the bomb sled took on a new role. The producers, realizing the public and media draw that this new Bond vehicle would have, exploited it to the full. It was used extensively on promotional tours around the world. Appeared as a range of children's toys in the toy shops that Christmas, and featured prominently in the promotional artwork for the movie. It became one of the enduring images of Thunderball, which itself became the highest-grossing movie of that time, and the only Bond film in the series to win the Oscar for special effects, primarily due to the underwater sequences. After all this sterling work, the bomb sled should have enjoyed a well-deserved retirement on permanent display in some museum or other. This, however, was not to be. Following its many promotional tours for Thunderball, it was eventually delivered here, to the Bahamian estate of Thunderball's maverick co-producer Kevin McClory. and it was here that the sub was destined to end its days. McClory was an enigmatic character who had a taste for the finer things in life, including underwater exploration and aquatic gadgetry. And the thought of keeping the sub may have seemed like fun at the time, but his interest must have waned. Because the once deadly flagship of the Spectre underwater fleet, this $270,000 unique piece of cinema history, was carelessly abandoned and forgotten in an overgrown area of waste ground outside the gates of McClory's estate, and allowed to collapse and decay into just so much rotting fiberglass. These few last known images, taken in 1987, show the sad demise of this iconic prop. A few years later, the entire estate and surrounding grounds were leveled to make way for a major hotel complex, and the crumbling remains of the Thunderball Bombsled disappeared forever, to exist now only immortalized on celluloid.